Rebellious Studio presents the Mind Body Podcast with your host, Maria Angelova. Hi, Rebels, and welcome to the Mind Body Podcast, your rebellious podcast with me, your host, Maria, where it is all about a strong body, calm mind, healing, and fully living. It is my pleasure today to have with me on air Madeline Dunn. Hi, Madeline. How are you doing?
Hi, I'm so good. I actually pronounce it Madeline, so
Madeline, sorry.
all good. It's actually spelled Madeline, like the French way. And I look just like that Madeline character. I actually won Madeline lookalike contests when I was a kid at Sears.
Sears, okay.
Yeah.
From all the places.
Remember Sears?
Okay, yes. I don't know if it still exists, but yes, I do. Okay, so let's dive in and tell us. I'm so excited about you telling us who you are, but before we get into what you do and all that stuff, let's start with 3 words that describe who you are. I have a feeling those things will be very much related, but let's just dive in.
Well, faithful, loyal, and feminine.
Okay, I love that.
Yeah.
And let's dive into what makes you rebellious.
Oh my gosh, my whole life is rebellious. I would say it really goes way back, but if we're talking just kind of like the recent stuff that's been going on in my life, I create my own paths. And so in college, about 10 years ago, I guess not too recent, I literally created my own degree in school. I was like the trendsetter in high school. And now I'm an entrepreneur. And when people ask me, what is it you do? And I tell them, well, I'm a speaking mentor for philanthropic founders. They're like, how did you get into that? I'm like, well, I came up with it. So I've always just been coming up with the different things that I do, which includes how we connected over that article. I turned myself into a professional skier by pursuing ski mountaineering and creating the different opportunities for me to get paid to do that.
Yeah. And let's talk about, I think we should talk about what ski mountaineering means, because I had to look it up and I had to be, can you clarify? Like, are you skiing?
Yeah.
Are you climbing? What is it? So let's talk just for a couple of minutes about what that means.
So it is a multi-sport activity, which means you're combining multiple sports into one. The most sports I would do in a day would be 4. So if I was climbing just 4. Just 4. So climbing a volcano in the spring out in the Pacific Northwest of the United States, you're going to have like winter at the top and you're going to have summer at the bottom. So you're trail running at first with your ski boots clipped into your skis, which are on your backpack. So you're hiking with like a lot of weight. Well, you're running, where it's either a fast hike or a run. And once you get to snow, then you take the skis off your back and you put away your hiking boots. So those are carrying those with you, or you bury them or something if you're coming back the same trail. And now you're off trail. Now you're clipping your skis onto your feet, and you have these things called skins on the bottom of the skis, which are one directional. So you can climb up the mountain. Your heels are lifted with your skis on your feet. So now you're ski touring, this is called. But then when you hit ice, what do? You put the skis back on your back and you put spikes, crampons on your feet, and you take out ice axes. So now you're ice climbing. And then when you do a quad sport day, that's when like the tippy top of the volcano doesn't have any snow left on it. It's all melted off from like the solar heat. And so now you're burying your skis, you're putting rock climbing shoes on, and you are scaling the remainder of the mountain as a rock climber. And then you rappel down the top and then ski down the bottom and then trail run out. So like just casual morning.
That's it. That's it. That's your casual morning. All right, then. I do have to say, as somebody who has fear of heights, just listening to that is like making it a little bit uneasy, but that's impressive. Let's talk about like, what does your training routine look like, and how do you usually do that by yourself?
Yeah, so I will say I decided to retire from that into 2021. I'd been a business owner for about 4 years. I wanted to go all in on my business, decided I wanted to create a family. I wanted to live on a farm. I wanted to build a life for myself outside of professional sports. So when I was training for this, it was full on. I called them expeditions. When I would go out, I would scale volcanoes like this. I would do like 20 in a month. So I was looking to set world records, and I mean, it's now that I like talk about it, like that's pretty insane. But I loved it. And so preparing for that would be like a 6-month journey, no work, just full training, ski touring every single day. So climbing mountains. There was a little bit of cross training. Like you kind of always want to stay fit. So in the summertime, if I wasn't skiing, I was running, but I would typically ski year round. So when you're not ski mountaineering, you're going and finding snow to ski mountaineer. Like it's just full on training and ice climbing, rock climbing, trail running, and then the skiing. You need to be able to ski down. That was the easiest part for me, actually, because I've been skiing my whole life. I was a nationally ranked skier at the age of 10. So, yeah.
Let's talk about the mental piece of that, because I am sure some of the lessons learned during your professional athlete years probably have taught you lessons that you're now applying swiftly into your entrepreneurship.
Oh, yeah, definitely. That's my favorite thing to talk about, as you know, because that's kind of what we wrote the article on. Yeah. So, with the mental game, I would say when I would go do these expeditions where I would, combine, like try and climb an entire range of volcanoes in a certain period of time, attempt that, season after season, what I realized was that my body can go a lot further than my mind. So before getting myself into all of this, I was actually training with Aaron Rice, and he broke the world record for ski mountaineering. You guys might know about him. He climbed over 2.5 million vertical feet in a single year. That's averaging about 7,500 feet. Yeah, 7,500 feet a day for 365 days. And he actually broke his arm like 2 months into that. And I learned a lot being by his side during that process. And I also got really, really fit. And what I realized was that the body like becomes this machine. You feed it right, you get enough sleep, you rest. You have to rest or you'll break down. You rest.
As you brought this up, yes.
You have to, otherwise your muscles like stop working and you hurt yourself. So, and you rest appropriately, your body goes way further than your mind. Because what happens when you're out in the mountains is you're lonely, you're scared. A lot of the time when you're climbing volcanoes specifically, like they create their own weather. So you can be in a complete whiteout, not know where you're going. There's a lot of dangers. And you have to be making these life or death decisions. Like, do we rope up now? Do I switch gear? Even like remembering to put sunscreen on, because a sunburn when you're doing that kind of stuff over and over again you could be knocked out. So the mental game, I realized, is actually the most important part. And I'll give you one little analogy that I love in terms of like how the things I learned from mountaineering relates to just like life in general and of course business. When you climb mountains, when you hike, maybe you guys have hiked, you get to the top of a peak and you just did something fantastic. You just did something that most people will never do, right? Most people don't even go on walks. So you get to the top of a hill, you get to the top of a mountain, and you'd think, after climbing like a 14,000 foot mountain, you'd be proud of yourself. Maybe not like your little neighborhood peak because you do it all the time, but you get to the top of this thing that you've been wanting to do for a long time. And there's really no celebration. You get to the top and you are already looking at what's next. You're literally looking out at all the other peaks left to climb. You're eye level with them, with your future summits. And we see this in entrepreneurship. We even see this in cleaning our house. You complete a goal, you deep clean the stove, and then what? You turn around and you see the pillows that need to be fixed on the couch, or the chips in the paint that you've needed to redo for 3 months. And you get on yourself about all these things that you have yet to do. And so I really learned the importance of celebration, because the mind will stop you before the body. And the mind is what stopped me from this ski mountaineering journey. My body could have kept doing it. But after I came down Mount Rainier in 2018, that is when I made the switch from like doing all of the traverses and going to set records, and instead getting into guiding and educating and avalanche work. So that I finished all of that in 2021 after moving to Alaska. I called it a lifetime journey, and decided to move forward and use these now skill sets that I learned mentally to apply them to my clients' work and myself in business.
From all of these things that you have learned, what would you tell is a couple of the most important advices you give, especially to entrepreneurs, right? You work with entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
To move forward past the discomfort, past the fears, past the things that are in our head that look like huge peaks that look like you're never going to climb that mountain.
So I'd mentioned at the beginning of this that one of my words was feminine, and that is applied in a lot of areas of my life. So I don't believe that goal setting is the way that we should go about our business. And a lot of us, we have these perceived challenges and these roadblocks. And the only reason we perceive them as that is because they're getting in the way of us getting something that we don't yet have, right? Like they wouldn't be a challenge or a roadblock if we were just, seeing God in the present. We would be enjoying the present moment. We'd be seeing it as the present that it is. But we have challenges. We have these things that we feel like are blocking us from our goals, from our future, from these things we want. And so my advice is to stop being so goal oriented. Everyone else is going to tell you that you need to have goals. You need to set those goals. You need to go after those goals. And before you even hit the goal, you need to set another one. And that is such a masculine way of doing business. I think we need balanced feminine, masculine energies. You can have the structure. You can have the things that you want. You're allowed to have things that you're building for, that you're laying the foundation for the future. But when you are goal oriented, when you are putting aside your family, putting aside the joy that you could feel right now, the fact that we're breathing in this air, oh my goodness, it's a blessing. It is so wonderful. I can't even count the number of air particles that I'm breathing into my lungs right now. I don't even have to focus on doing it. My body just does it itself.
I have to tell you, I'm smiling because so my background was in finance. I did that for 20 years. Part of what I did was creating financial planning for the year and the budgets and the forecast, right? It was a lot of planning that goes into it. And then I got into entrepreneurship, and I used to be a lot more type A, and this is the plan. And I used to spend a lot of times, in the beginning of the year, what's the plan? How are we going to execute? And then I would want to go there. And somehow at the end of the year, I was here, right? And I wanted to go this way. And somehow I went this way, and then this way and this way. And I was like, wow, I started realizing I'm doing all of this time planning, but life has a different journey for me then. And then just yesterday, I was reading a book. And in the book, it talked exactly about the same thing that you're talking. And I correlate that to the state of flow. Like in Pilates, we talk about flow. Yes, you do know the direction you're going. You do know what are the things you want to work with, but you don't want to move with like rigidity and tension, right? You want to flow. And I think that's exactly what you're talking about, that push energy that we're so used to push, no matter what, crush yourself into the ground, but get that goal versus, well, you know what, take a breath, enjoy where you are today, right? It's the growth is in the journey. The enjoyment is in the journey, not in the destination. And it's so funny that you just brought that up just today. I mean, just last evening, I was reading about that. And now you bring it up. So that's like my big affirmation to like, all right, I like that. Flow with
it. Yeah. You're getting the nudge right now from
right now. Heart is like, okay, we're good here. Yeah.
Yes, right. You can't just be in flow. You have to have the structure. The structure is that masculine dance floor that then the feminine energy feels comfortable enough to dance upon and to lead from. I see structure as that hug that you can get from your dad or from someone that can just like hold you and you can melt into them. That is your time blocks for your day. I mean, I literally sit at the computer, I turn my visual timer, and I get up every 30 minutes. I only work on a task for 90 minutes. And then I take 45 minutes to decompress my brain and recompress until I do another session. I usually do 2 of those a day. So yeah, I'm telling you, I do 3 hours of focused work a day. The first 90-minute session is working out. This is based in brain science. Okay, this is all the masculine structure so that I can allow my business to zig and zag and go in the direction that it's meant to go.
Yeah. And I think the very important piece to that is that, yes, you do want to have structure, but when there is too much structure, we limit our creative capacity, right? Because there is no zigzag room. It's just like go on a straight path versus also, for me, movement, working out, is when you can quiet down, when you can create that mind-body connection, when you can reground yourself and then be like, okay, what do I feel like putting out there? It's a very different energy than I have to do this, I have to do this, I have to do that.
Yeah. Toward another answer for your previous question that you asked me, you mentioned, zigzagging and not going straight up the mountain in a sense, because when we look at elks climbing mountains, they don't go straight up. That's not the most efficient path. And that works for your goals in business and your goals in life as well. When you're just focused on the summit, when you're just focused on the goal, you have these blinders on and you actually can't see the easier route. And if you look at the elks, they follow the slope of the mountain. They go up at the perfect angle, zigging and zagging up a slope that allows them to conserve energy and go further. And so that's also what we do in ski mountaineering. We zig and we zag. We don't go straight up unless it's water ice and we're ice climbing. But if you're ski touring, you're not just walking straight up the mountain. That's not efficient. It's not good for your body and you'll burn out. And so in entrepreneurship, it's good to follow the flows in life. It's like that breadcrumb trail, your intuition, where God is telling you to go. Look at those open doors. When a door is open, assess, do I have shiny object syndrome right now? Am I putting something onto my plate that isn't for me? Or are all signs pointing yes? And actually, I need to stop doing what I was doing over here. That goal might just never be achieved because that goal actually brought me to here and I'm supposed to go over there.
Yeah. And I think there is discomfort with that, right? Because like you said, we're taught to be so goal oriented, and how am I going to be perceived if I don't meet my goal? Is the negative self-talk going to start coming, right? It's the mindset conditioning of saying it's okay to zigzag. Because I would say when I started my entrepreneurship business, I was going here and my life kind of went this way. And now we're kind of here, but it's so much better than what I had even imagined. Yeah. So allowing myself to flow with it. And I'll tell you, the more I grow personally, the more I grow mindset. Tell me if you agree with that. The easier it is to flow and the easier it is to trust, which goes to the spiritual piece that you're talking about. Just saying it's okay to zigzag and it doesn't mean anything. It's just there is a better plan for me out there.
Yeah, zigzagging is actually what nature does. There's no straight lines. You look at trees. You see kids drawing trees, when they're kids and they're just drawing these straight lines. But if you actually look at a tree, it's curved. If you look at the way the elks go up the mountain, they're flowing with nature. And yeah, I mean, I fully believe that entrepreneurship is the personal development journey of a lifetime. If you're not growing personally throughout your entrepreneurial journey, you're missing out. There's so much beauty. There's so much left in store for you, but you've got to get rid of the baggage. You've got to stop holding on to things so tightly. You got to find your place, your purpose, your calling, and move from the space of balanced feminine and masculine energies, right? Not all flow, not all hustle, but find your in between where you're truly serving someone else and your vision is greater than you. And that will just come.
Yeah, I still enjoy everything you're saying. And from my experience, I would say that you really can grow successfully as an entrepreneur if you're not personally growing. I just don't think it's possible. We can stomp, but I don't think, because entrepreneurship challenges you in such different way than, having that stable paycheck and knowing what's coming every month. And there is so much more decision-making that you have to do. There is so much, even the letting go. I mean, we talk about letting go, but sometimes the letting go is not so easy. Because maybe it's letting go of people who, we thought are going to be there. Maybe it's letting go of a job or a significant other, or we can get into our head. And it's interesting to see the duality, right? You need to grow, but then your survivalist things are like, no, don't do that. It's scary. And to learn to flow with that and to say, I am letting go because I'm growing.
Yeah. I think I quoted this in my article with you on the magazine. You got to break a couple eggs to make an omelet. Yeah. Growth is uncomfortable for sure. For sure. I mean, you're basically dangling off a cliff in life, wondering if you're going to be caught. When you're growing, you're finding your edge. Otherwise you stay where you are. That's why they call growing pains. You're stretching. Think about working out. When you're growing your muscles, you're breaking them down to build them back up. Look at the way life is already working, the way nature is working, the way our bodies are working. You can take those strategies and systems and apply them to business. Okay, well, if I want to grow in business, I'm going to have to take some risks. I'm going to have to bring on teammates. I'm going to have to let go of people in my circle, friends that I used to have that don't want my light to shine. Maybe it's a family member. Yeah, it's tough and your life will be better if you continue to follow what your intuition is telling you to do. Because your intuition will tell you, okay, I'm not supposed to be around these people anymore, or oh, I really want to invest in this business mentorship or whatever it is. And if you keep saying no to those uncomfortable feelings, you're going to stay right where you are. There's a difference between lion's den fear, like if I do this, my business is going to go bankrupt, or my family's not going to be able to eat, or I might die. Like that's one type of fear. And then there's it's going to be uncomfortable. I might have to get a second job. I'm not sure whether or not it's going to work out, but the worst case scenario isn't like you go completely belly under. Those are different. And you actually have to train the brain to see them as different, because your body might be experiencing the same reaction to both of those types of fear, which is keeping you from actually growing beyond your comfort zone.
And two key things that you brought up is one, the experience in your body and being in tune with what your body is experiencing. And, I ask my clients, does this feel in alignment? And we have the physical alignment. We also have the physical, mental, emotional alignment, right? Which is, does this feel right? Like you said, that door is open. Does it feel right to go through it? Mm-hmm. And then trusting your intuition, because I think that also goes a little bit counter to what we are usually taught. I don't know about you, but I didn't grow up being taught, trust your intuition, what's best for you.
Yeah. I mean, I personally, my mom was great. My father, not so much. So, childhood was a little rough, and, just having to learn about my intuition probably in the last, I don't know, 10 years. So it was not in me as a kid, other than the fact that I am a woman. And I do believe that we are born like knowing about our feelings and having that intuition. However, it gets stifled by society, school, family, whatever it is. And we start to build up these walls of protection that then keep us from actually being able to feel our bodies. And then of course, like if you get into like drugs or alcohol or like any sort of like addiction, sugar, caffeine, like those types of things also numb and or change your body and make it way more difficult to hear that inner voice.
Yeah. And I would say, I mean, I grew up in a great family, and I think I always had a strong intuition. I just never thought to trust or tune into my intuition. And for me, it was really entrepreneurship that, I mean, even the start of my entrepreneurship was driven by like, I should quit my job and start my own business, which was a scary step to take. But I mean, it has taken me to a place that I honestly didn't even know existed. Like, It's amazing. And the more you do it and the more you see like, oh, wow, that really worked for me, right? Even though it might not have felt comfortable or that great in the moment, long term, you start trusting more, right?
Yes. Oh my gosh. That pivotal point of I'm going to do this full time, or even I'm going to sacrifice some of my free time, keep my job and start a side hustle.
Whatever you're yeah, there's no right, whatever works for you.
Yeah, that's a scary step. That's the first big scary step, and it's a big one. And then after that, you're like, okay, I did the thing, and then it's like, oh, now I have to learn how to. There's so many things with running a business that
that was so funny because I did my first personal growth type of seminar after I quit my job, maybe about 6 to 8 months after I did it. And I went there and they were talking like, you have to keep doing this. And I was like, no, I was like, I already took the step. Like I quit my job. And they're like, but now you have to keep repeating. It's not just you take one step. And I was like, oh, wow. Like I was not prepared for that, And I mean, I have higher education, I have corporate experience and all of that. But yeah, the entrepreneurial journey was very eye-opening. Let's just say that.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I can totally relate with your story. It's like I took the big jump and I got to keep taking jumps. Yep.
It's exhilarating, right? It gets boring when you don't take jumps.
So true. So true. Oh my gosh. I mean, I just today I had to take a big jump. That's something that, I had been like led to do by God. It was put on my heart and I thought it was going to be small. And now I'm going into business with someone else and I'm putting, another 10 hours of work a week on my plate. And that's a huge jump for me because right now I'm like pretty comfortable with the amount of work that I'm doing. I have 3 businesses and work about 20 hours a week. And I have a lot of time to be able to take care of myself. I have this whole morning routine. And part of me is like, oh, are you going to have to sacrifice for this? And so there's these things that you might want, but then part of you is just like, but you only have so many hours in a day. I don't know if I want to give up some of these other things that I'm currently doing.
Yeah. Well, congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Enjoy the journey.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
I just pray. If something's put on my plate and I know it's there for, a reason to live by God's will, I just pray, okay, fill me up, man. Like, you put this in front of me, give me the energy to continue to do this. Like, I also want to raise a seeing eye dog for the blind. That's been put on my plate too. So for that one, I'm praying that a door gets closed, that like my landlord, the condo association says no or something, because that's just a whole nother responsibility that I really want. But I am on a mission to only live my life by God's will. Like I've done so many things that I wanted to do that just brought me to a lot of really hard challenges. So I'm in this position of almost praying for like beautiful things in front of me to go away if they're not meant for me.
Yeah. It can be. That's the thing about opportunities, which ones are the right, because sometimes, like you said, you can get caught into the shiny object syndrome of I want this and I want this and I want this. And next thing you know, there is no joy left because you're doing 500 different things. Yeah.
It's called burnout.
Okay. So I have to ask you, what's your definition of rebellious?
Oh, I saw that question on the form. I love that. For me, it's living a life against the status quo. Talking about God honestly feels really rebellious, which is part of the reason why I love doing it. Creating a business that doesn't exist, like my public speaking membership or my mentorship for philanthropic founders. Like no one else is doing that. So it's pretty rebellious to be able to step into a space and talk about things that aren't being talked about, talk about things that might actually create like some persecution for you. So I think I would add that to my definition of rebellious. You're not only doing something that's against the status quo, but there's like serious repercussions that could come back, could harm you, but you do it anyways because it's your soul's calling.
Yeah, I think when it feels right in here, sometimes you're led to do crazy things. And, I don't mean them in a harmful way, but things that are unconventional.
Yeah, unconventional. Yeah, I love your shirt. So branded. So great.
Let's see. Let's end with a quote or piece of inspiration that you want to share with our listeners.
Well, the first thing that came to mind is Eleanor Roosevelt and her well-behaved women rarely make history. So you can have rules in life that you're supposed to follow, right? Like wear your seatbelt when you drive, stop at stoplights, be kind, honest. However, when we keep ourselves in a box and we're well behaved, we do what everyone says we're supposed to do. We're PC. We're not too loud. We don't talk about our trauma because we don't want to trigger anyone else. Like you are not then able to make history. You're then not able to change the lives of people you've literally never met. It's a butterfly effect when you open your mouth and you speak up about what's on your heart, because that's put on your heart because someone else needs to hear it.
Yeah. And that can be uncomfortable in the beginning because it might be not conventional once again, right? What are people going to think? What is society going to say? And sometimes you have to shut that down and just be you. Just be authentic, rebellious you.
Yes.
It was so much fun. Thank you so much for being with this. Wait, we have to finish. Where can people follow you and find you?
Oh, thank you. So my website, themadelineshow.com, is the hub for everything. If you want to check out my membership, you can just go to themadelineshow.com/speak up, learn about the public speaking mentorship and membership. I teach you how to become your own PR agent and how to leverage speaking opportunities to cut your time on social media in half. My one-on-one consulting is by invite and referral only. So if you take the Speak Up membership, or if you get to know me by sliding into the DMs on social media at Madeline Cecilia Dunn, this will all be linked for you in the show notes and description. Start a conversation with me. Let's just be in each other's worlds. Let's get to know each other. And I would love to hear what your aha moments were from this show. I have my own podcast, The Madeline Show, hence themadeline.show.com. And I'd love to create episodes, take your feedback for those episodes. And Maria, you got to come on my show. So that's our next touch point.
Yes, that is. I am so appreciative for your time. Thank you so much. I wish you continued success. I'm so glad that we have connected. That's my favorite part of, I would say, my business is connecting with other like-minded people. And when I read, when we connected over the interview, like, I love inspiring people, and you definitely inspired me. So thank you for that. Keeping butt. And for those of you tuning in, thank you so much for listening. Let us know if you have any questions. And of course, don't forget to make it a rebellious day. Talk to you next time. Can't get enough of those rebellious conversations? Do make sure you subscribe, like, and share with your friends.